The day this video drops is going to be my 40th birthday. Then I figured we'd celebrate together by talking about 40 things I wish I knew before I was 40, but hey, I guess I technically have learned all these before I turned 40. But the very first thing that I want to share is only take advice from people who have what you already want, which is why I think it's really important to start by giving you the caveat of where I am in life right now, and if I don't have what you're looking for, then maybe you should stop watching this video right away. So a few things that you should know about me to see if that my life aligns at all with what you're looking to accomplish. I have been in France for about a decade of my life. I've been in Paris for the last 8 years. I got my French citizenship last year, and I'm here on the day that they're opening the Seine to jump in the river. And clearly, I have a high tolerance for risk, which is something you're going to come to know about me very quickly. I've written about 12 books, and I've published 9 of them. I've been a full-time YouTuber since 2018. I have risked everything on multiple ventures, including publishing and tech companies. I went bankrupt shortly after I moved here. I started my life over completely, built my existing companies from the ground up, and now across all channels, I have something like 250,000 followers, and it looks like I might actually make it. I got French citizenship last year, like I said.
Turn the passport the other way around.
Partied in the presidential palace this year, which was a new twist. I have some amazing friends, a fantastic dog. I am, however, single, so take whatever relationship advice I give in this video with that grain of salt. And I definitely still need to work for a living, so also take whatever wealth advice I give with another big grain of salt. But I've learned a lot of money lessons the hard way. I've also put in a ton of work to overcome some deep childhood trauma, so this video is very much for past me and anyone who's on a similar journey and ready to make some changes. If you're still with me after all of that, forgive what braggadociousness might have been in there. I've broken this into 5 categories, but we'll just kind of see how this goes. And I'm going to end up talking a lot about learning to love yourself in this video because I think that's been one of the longest and most important journeys that I've been on through life. But one of the practical ways you can get started is by loving your future self. Simply by doing chores, like doing dishes the night before so that the next day you don't have to worry about it. Or as I'm getting ready to go on a long trip, cleaning my apartment, doing some laundry, changing my linens, or going out into the rain to buy toilet paper for yourself because you're out and the last thing you want is to come home from a long trip and have no toilet paper waiting for you. Also, you might notice the sunglasses are going to be a very prevalent feature of this video because I currently have a sty. We're at the very beginning of filming this. We'll check in later on this trip to see how that goes. But this is more for you than for me. I can't see anything, but you can't see, this is a loving act I'm doing for you. Back when I took out my student loans and other decisions I made when I was younger, I thought, oh, future Jay can pay for this. That was not a way of setting myself up for success. Instead, I'd like to think, oh, I'm gonna take this off of future Jay's hands, so when he comes back to Paris after a couple weeks of travel, he can relax and hit the ground running. And you might be surprised, but that kind of self-talk does a lot of good for your soul and your relationship with yourself over time. Let's pick up the pace a little bit because we have a lot to get through, but one of the most important things that I've learned is that healthy, successful relationships start with you. If you don't have a good, healthy relationship with yourself, if you don't know how to take care of yourself, how can you take care of others? Which brings us to making sure that you invest in what you already have, especially when on the pursuit for romance. It can be really easy to obsess over love and forget that the love of your friends is actually maybe more important. It's very important and very underrated. And they're the people that are going to be there through the highs and the lows. They're going to pick you up when you get your heart broken and put you back together and root you on when it comes to finding love. So invest in what you already have. Don't forget them. Also, airports of Paris, could you invest in better food? Why are the restaurants, we're so proud of our culinary heritage, and the restaurants in the airports in this city are terrible. This might be my more controversial take on this, but I really believe that if you're going to take both good care of yourself and attract good people into your life to invest in, obviously, you also need to cut out all the toxic people from your life, which can be tricky because there are people that we love that are deeply problematic that we don't want to leave. But I have a French friend named Gitu who used to talk about love as being a garden and tending to that garden, watering it, planting, letting things grow. But what Gitu never talked about was also weeding that garden. If you have a little flower box and you let weeds take over, there's no room for any flowers or any fruit or anything you actually want to be living in that flower box. And ultimately, you can't let any weeds in because that's what weeds do. They invade. You got to take them out before they take out all the nutrition. It's really, really important. In fact, you might be asking yourself, how do you know the difference? It's energy. It comes down to like, does this person give me energy? Do they take energy away from me? Cut out all the people that take your energy. That's the starting point. Try to surround yourself with people who give you energy. And then, eventually, you might even start kind of like letting go of the ones that don't give you much. When you make a mistake, do what you can to make up for it, apologize, learn from it, and then move on. Continue to develop yourself as a person and as a friend, but don't forget to continue developing your sense of expectations for other people as well. Whether that's expecting more or expecting less, it's important to right-size your expectations for your friendships, and remember that you're not just there to give, you're also there to receive. Friendship's supposed to be a two-way street. All relationships are. If you're anything like me, you might have been raised to believe that self-sacrifice was a necessity in good relationships, but the reality is that you want to take people where they are as they are. Often, self-sacrifice, I've discovered, is a way that I try to manipulate relationships into being what I want them to be. So take people as they are and give a little bit more than what you get, but not so much more that you feel like you're sacrificing your own well-being. Also, sorry if I'm slurring a little bit here. I've been awake for like 36 hours and I just tripped on infrastructure. One more while I'm still flying into California. Romance, looks are important, but like not the end all be all. You're gonna find somebody that you like the look of, but good looks can cover a litany of red flags, and honestly, those red flags negate the value of the good looks. And boy, have I learned that the hard way way too many times. It's embarrassing. Speaking of romance, who am I to talk about romance? But speaking of romance, I do believe that there is more than one person out there who could make you very happy, but I also know from experience that there are multiple people, far more people probably, that could make you incredibly miserable. So the most important thing is probably not to rush. And the last thing that I'll say about relationships for this, if you happen to be hyper independent like I am, is that it's not only okay to need other people, but it's what we were made for as humans. We're social creatures. And for me, I definitely have leaned very heavily into the relying only on myself, being very independent. I mean, to an extreme. I ended up, in a foreign country completely by myself with nothing to my name and starting over. But I've also robbed myself in so many ways by removing myself from relationships and not leaning into learning how to rely on people. So getting to that place where I could admit that not only did I need people, but that it was okay and healthy to need people, it's a really important lesson that I've had to learn. And now, let's talk about health. All right, health and fitness. Sleep is king. There are so many of life's problems that can be fixed simply by getting a good night's sleep. Go to bed on time, but most consistently, get up on time. Emotional stability, physical recovery, just like the routine of making sure you get up at a consistent time that makes you go to bed at a more consistent time, life-changing. No matter what age you are, absolutely life-changing. Seems like the right place to say it's important to work out consistently. I think so much about health actually comes down to consistency, a little bit of discipline, and showing up 3 times a week, whatever you can get in. Even bad workouts are better than no workouts. Makes a huge difference just to be consistent. Moving your body is also such a boon for mental health, like just stretching a little bit or doing some push-ups. Anytime you're feeling in a rut, stuck, a little sad or down, ask yourself, when was the last time I actually moved my body? I was gonna say this part while we were having brunch, but I completely forgot. The food is really difficult. It was very difficult for me, and I think facing your fears with food, just head on and actually dealing with it, dealing with that relationship, is really important. And the flip side of that, and I've found in weight loss in particular, like exercise is obviously a big part of maintaining a figure, but the food part is the hardest part. Mastering that makes everything easier. And beach or poolside or dancing sister, whichever you've got going on at the moment, it's good to say embrace the body you have, do the most you can with it, and know that somebody is going to love you for all you've got going on. At least that's the hope that we all have. Speaking of trauma, just to give a quick update on the sty, it was getting better. We're 3 days later from when I started making this video. 4 days? I don't know if it's getting better or not. But in all seriousness, I think the first thing to say is it's gonna be okay. It's been very hard to assure myself of that over the years, but especially if you've been in any traumatic situations or you grew up with childhood trauma like I did, not only is it gonna be okay, but unfortunately the only way out is through. It's absolutely worth putting the work in, all the effort that's required to learn and to grow and to heal. You don't have to accept the world as it's presented to you. You can work really hard, not only to change it, but to change yourself. And by changing yourself, by working on yourself, healing and growing, you naturally do change the world around you in ways that are unexpected, but wonderful. Don't rely on anybody to see, the sea lions and the seagulls are having a little bit of a fight on the beach right now. I don't know if this is related or not, but don't rely on anyone to see the potential that you have within you. You need to show up consistently until it's undeniable. You hear a lot of people talking about faking it until you make it, but I think one of the really important things to understand is that nobody knows how awkward or out of place you feel. Whether you're on camera, like I am right now in a public place, looking like some sort of weirdo, or you're just trying to make it into whatever career or life situation you're getting through. The emotional state you have inside yourself is something that I think you should be open and vulnerable with, you should be in touch with, you should know it. But you also don't have to wear it on your sleeve, and nobody really knows what you're going through, which actually brings us to another really important point. And that is that you don't know what anyone else is going through. Not only do you not know what anyone else is going through, what they're struggling with, what they may be suffering with on any given day, but you also don't know what people started out with in life. Like, they may have been given quite the advantage over you to get started. They might have actually gotten quite the head start in a number of different ways. So when things look easier for other people, they might actually be, or they might be really, really struggling and powering through. It's often impossible to know unless you get to know the person. So focus on you. We might be getting a little bit ahead of ourselves and into career territory here, but as you can tell, all of this really overlaps. But to that point, if you start out in life with less than others, it's really important to internalize that that is not your fault. We're all dealt a hand, we all have to play it as best we can, and sometimes we realize early or later on that what we got wasn't that great, but that doesn't mean that we can't play, and it doesn't mean that we can't still win. If not that life is about winning, but you know what I mean. And to that point, the world doesn't get easier, we get stronger. And the more you have to overcome, the stronger you can be. If you never deviate far enough from the mean, you're not going to gain the perspective necessary to question it, let alone buck it, which brings us to the development and career section. If you treat every hardship as a lesson to learn or an opportunity to grow, then you can never lose. This one sounds cheesy, but it's like vitally important, which is to strive to be the truest you possible. The world needs you as you are, and the right people are going to embrace you for who you are. You just gotta find you. And they're not gonna find you if you keep pretending to be somebody else. Pick one thing and focus on that until you excel. Believe it or not, that is a real trick to getting ahead real fast. Talking about doing the thing is often so much more fun than doing the thing, but doing the thing is both more satisfying inherently and the only way to actually arrive at, whatever's going on here. Don't listen to gurus or follow trends, but as best you can, stick to the basics. One of the best ways to learn is just by taking note of what you don't know. When you hear a word, concept, anything where you're like, I don't know what that is. Look it up. Life is really long, thankfully, and you're the only person that you're gonna have with you through the whole thing. So make sure to invest most heavily in yourself. Invest in you. We'll come back to this here in a second. Constantly revisiting and revising is working to grow. There is no arriving in life. This ride either goes or stops. I think this is true in most domains for life, but infinite game. Don't play to win, play to play to improve. Just keep playing because, again, once the game is over, it's over, right? But if you keep playing against yourself, if you keep playing to do better than you did before, then you're just gonna keep finding yourself in better and more interesting places over the course of life. Again, there is no end destination to any of this. Just keep going.
Follow what interests you most, not what makes sense, because what makes sense is rarely going to lead you into a situation like this.
The only person you need to compete with is yourself. And not necessarily to be better than you are, but to be truer to yourself than you've ever been before. Also, I flew all the way from Paris to my hometown of Pullman, Washington, where I was born and raised and left at 18 years old just for you to make this video. If that doesn't help you appreciate the process, the hard work that goes into this, then I haven't earned your subscription. But if you haven't subscribed to me yet, please do. We're gonna move on to the wealth and success portion of this video. You might notice the number that we're on and the runtime of the video. I'm gonna end up giving you some bonuses in here. I hope you appreciate that as well. Opening a business of your own is akin to gambling, if not worse. When you think about it, blackjack hands, the player has roughly a 42% chance of winning a hand, where they say that the average startup has a 90% chance of failing. If you're putting a whole bunch of your money on the table, you better be ready and able to lose it. That applies to gambling, and it definitely applies to opening a business, which is something I did not know when I got into it, and boy, did I pay for that the hard way. Oh, more than once. Remember when I said earlier that you were the only person that was gonna be with you for your entire life, and so you'd want to make sure to invest in yourself? That goes for money as well. Take your money and put it into education, training, upskilling, therapy, whatever it is that you need to do to level up, because it's gonna make the rest of your life easier. Those skills are gonna compound, and you're just gonna enjoy life so much more if you invest heavily in yourself. And then take the remainder. This is not financial advice, FCC, whoever the heck I've got to worry about coming after me for this. Not financial advice. However, take the remainder and then put that in the market, but make sure to invest in yourself. If you can, however you can, save $10,000. It is one of the biggest boons for your mental health when it comes to your finances. The times in my life when I have done that and maintained it have been some of the quietest, calmest in my mind. Save that 10 grand, however you can. No matter what anyone tells you, business is really hard. Starting, opening, running your own business, keeping it alive, really, really difficult. So don't focus on the rare success stories so much as you focus on the failures of others and yourself. Failure is a great teacher. Success doesn't tell you a whole lot. And don't fall into that trap of feeling like you're failing or you're behind simply because you haven't achieved what others have, because the average person that's achieved a whole lot in their life is probably the outlier.
Ask all the questions. Like, never be afraid to look stupid in front of somebody who knows more than you. It's better to ask and know than to find out the hard way, which is a lesson I learned a lot through French bureaucracy of all things.
Money absolutely can buy happiness, and anyone who tells you otherwise has never been broke. Success needs to be clearly defined before you play the game. A game without rules is chaos. And the second to last thing that I wanted to share in this video, which has been probably the hardest lesson to apply to life, business, career, all of it, is that no one is coming to save you. That's the personal side. The business side would be no one's gonna do it for you. It doesn't matter what room you get yourself into. It doesn't matter who you meet. Nobody can make your career. Nobody can advance you or jump you to the front of the line. You have to show up, do the work, be undeniable, and then those things will magically start to find you. Magically, of course. The same is true of life in general. No one is coming to save you. You need to do the hard work to invest in yourself, to apply all the things that we've talked about in this video, because if you don't do it, no one will. And you are your number one best friend, best asset, the best person in your life to have is you. And I know that sounds cheesy, but it's true. If you can invest in yourself, grow, learn to love yourself, and become the truest version of yourself. I mean, maybe that's the whole journey of life. I haven't arrived, I haven't gotten there, but I've learned so much and grown so much and seen the benefits of it. I want to continue on that path. And ultimately, that's what I wanted to share with you today in making this video. Now I need to get back to Paris really quick for the last point. Cheers! Thank you. We're on a boat. Cheers.
Landing party stuff.
The landing party. Isn't that fun? Isn't that a great after party name?
I think.
The last thing would be to take stock. Like 10 years ago, I was turning 30 and I was by myself in Cancun, wanting to change my life, wanting to lose weight, wanting to develop friendships, wanting to develop myself. My life has changed dramatically in the last 10 years, and I want to encourage you that if you put the work in, if you put in the effort, yours can too. And don't forget to stop and take stock of it as you go. Be grateful for what you have, and be sure to surround yourself with people who love you, first and foremost. Thanks to Lillian Brazin, today's Patron producer, and all my patrons for making this possible. Obviously, that is a phenomenal way that you can support me if you ever want to, but for those of you that were wanting to jump in on the birthday stuff, I'll put the link below to the pot that Emily created for the birthday boat and the festivities. If you want to pitch in, it'd be very much appreciated, but absolutely not necessary. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you got something out of this, and if you did, please be sure to subscribe. I'm gonna go party now. I'm done working. I'm gonna get this out today on my birthday, and then I'm done.